Good morning from Austin, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to my channel. My name's Max. Let's look at the ULTY-Verse and YieldMax verse and whatever verse we can look at. Let's look at some option trades. Let's talk about strategy a little bit, just like we always do. All right, well, we'll just start with the ULTY-Verse. All right, at the far right, you see ULTY's up 1.69%, while all the stocks that are represented in the ULTY-Verse are up 3.7%. You have Rocket Lab up 41% this morning. Now, Jay put on a position last night. They had earnings this morning, and they obviously hit it big. They had earnings after the bell. They had earnings at some point, but before that time, Jay put on a caller. Well, a caller is like a covered call, but where you spend part of the proceeds from the call that you sold to buy a put. So it's like a covered call with a little less income, but a lot less downside. That's the whole idea. So that's great, but it doesn't help you when the stock goes up 41%. So that one's going to be capped out. So that right there is probably the whole reason for this being behind a little bit today. Because it's capped out. Now they made their income. They made, they hit their goal. They did what they're supposed to. It's not bad when that happens, but had, in an alternate universe, had they done a covered call spread instead of a caller, covered call spread has more upside. They would have received some of that upside. But anyway, what do you know? But the thing is, the way the universe works, had they done the covered call spread, Rocket Labs would have been down 42% this morning. So, that's just kind of the way it works. But no, these guys are on fire. We'll look at the individual trades here in a second. Let's see how the market opened up this morning. I should always start with the market. And we'll see what my volatility metric doing, see if we're still bullish or whatever. All right, so SPX, you can see it's grinding sideways. NASDAQ actually pulling back a little bit. The most recent 30-minute bar is back under the Bollinger Band. It's early. We'll look at Russell. This represents the smaller stocks. Now, this opened in an up gap this morning, a small up gap. All right, now we're going to look at VIVIX. This is the main input in Max's volatility metric. And even though VIVIX is ticking up a little bit, it's still so far under that 200-period moving average. It looks like, yesterday's pullback was nothing. It doesn't look like the volatility traders are worried about it. So Max's volatility system is still bullish in both time frames, in the daily time frame and in the 30-minute time frame. It turned bullish at SPY 584. Right now, we're trading SPY 593. As soon as it turns bearish, I'll let you guys know. No guarantee that my signal will let us know in time to make a lot of money. Sometimes the signal happens after the market's already turned. This is a trend following system, and we just try to stay on the right side of the trend. But I'll let you know, and I'll stay on top of it. Okay, so back to the high yield funds. Let's look at the ULTY-Verse. Okay, or the ULTY grid. We've already looked at the ULTY-Verse. All right, so here's the ULTY grid. Once again, I forgot to hide the trades, but that's par for the course. And I didn't get a remote mouse yet. I know the clicking's brutal. Do not delete columns. We want to hide columns. Perfect. Okay, so here's all the stocks. So DJT we have on a caller, which is the same thing we had on yesterday. Coinbase we have on a covered call spread. Yesterday we had on a covered call. So what he did overnight is he added a call because now it's a covered call spread. They added a long call above the short call. But like I say, you don't know what you don't know, right? And that right there, that problem is what options help you with, solving the you don't know what you don't know problem. You can't know what you don't know. Okay. So back to the ULTY grid. HIM's price is firming up this morning. Him's is happy to see us this morning, it looks like. Let's go back to the verse. Yeah. Look at him's up 10.8% today. What a big boy. Good job. That's impressive. All right. Back to the grid. I need to make a way to see the grid and the verse at the same time. Maybe that's my next project. And I continue to get good advice on spreadsheets from Brett, and we've been emailing back and forth. He's offered some suggestions, and I've even taken some of them, but some of them I've internalized. I just haven't put on paper yet. But I appreciate it, Brett. Okay. The other one I wanted to show you, and that's why I highlighted it. On Robinhood, they were in a broken wing butterfly, and you guys know I love those trades. They're delta neutral-ish. Next time one comes up, I'll probably have a show about it. But overnight, they converted to a bull call spread. I just want to remember to ask Jay about this. This is what these are called, changing one option strategy into another as time evolves. That's called managing the trade. Lots of times what option traders will do, they might have on a butterfly at the start, but then as the market moves and as time goes by and time comes out of their short options, butterfly, you have two short options. As time comes out, they might cover one of those short options and make the trade free, make the rest of the trade free. Sometimes you can do that. Sometimes you can cover one wing of the butterfly and turn the butterfly, which was a delta neutral trade, into a bullish trade or into a bearish trade. Well, anyway, we'll talk to Jay about that, but he's really started doing it. I'm really having to, it's taking longer to put these reports together because he's doing a lot more micromanaging between days. Today, there was like 3 or 4 positions that were different from yesterday. All right. Planeteer, they still have on a collar. Kava, they have on a stock plus a call spread. Now that's a mega bullish strategy. I don't even have a name for it. But anyway, let's see how Kava's doing today. How did Kava not make this list? Oh, no, there it is. It just didn't make the alphabetical part of it. Kava is also up big today. Kava must have hung out with Hims last night. Maybe Hims and Kava had date night last night or something. I don't know. Interesting. All right. Okay, so Occidental Petroleum, Oxy, it's a caller. Tesla's a call spread caller. That's a new trade. That's a new trade that I saw that he did. So a call spread is super bullish. I'm trying to I don't even know where to rank this on the bullish to bearish. This is a very bullish strategy, which is good. I mean, when you're in Tesla. Now, let's see what Tesla's doing today. Tesla might be pulling back today. Oh, Tesla's only up 33 bips. All right, you can see he has a lot of callers on. He added Billy, B-I-L-I. I don't know what that is. They have earnings today. Spotify, I think, is an earnings stock. Rocket Lab, we've already talked about this morning. Zim, Z-I-M, is an interesting company I've traded many times before. Zim actually has pretty liquid options, and you can do some interesting stuff in Zim, Z-I-M. But I haven't traded it in a while. That's a good one, though. Jay put on a collar in that one. And then this is what I love. I love when he copies something that I did. No, not really. But the loaded dice trade is a trade that I talk about all the time. That's a risk reversal without stock. Well, and I guess that's how risk reversals are supposed to. Well, I don't know. They're supposed to be a stock, actually. Well, anyway, it's a risk reversal without stock. And it's just a trade that the way I think of it, and I really copied it off Jay. He did it in Netflix plus the stock, and then I just subtracted the stock and started doing it. Now he's doing it without stock also, and I think the without stock way makes a lot of sense sometimes. Now I put this Disney trade into option strat that he's loaded up for the day. I put several of the trades in option strat. We're going to look at that. Here's the Disney trade. He's already up $36,000 on it. It's, we see this pattern all the time, and there's no stock. There's no stock. You could do this with plus stock, and that's fine too. But I really like the no stock way to do this. Now, of course, I would probably do it with maybe 5 contracts. Now, he's done it with 1,500 contracts. Something I don't like is I don't like how he only received $15,000 credit. But maybe that meets his bogey. Maybe that meets his goals. But I generally like to look for 10% of risk. And he's at about 5% of risk right now because his trade has about $385,000 risk. But maybe I'm wrong to look for 10%. Maybe I need to start looking for 5%. We're going to ask Jay about that as well. I don't like risking 20 to make one. I'd rather risk 10 to make one. I'd really rather risk 5 or 6 to make one when I can. And there's sometimes opportunities for that in these types of trades. Anyway, we do a lot of these types of trades on the channel. Disney has earnings after the bell today. So be expecting some content on a Disney trade. We'll probably do this a bullish one and a bearish one, and just for fun. And there'll be some content on it. We'll do this. This will be fun. Anyway, so I'm not going to get into the weeds on the option stuff on this show. I'll have a separate option show. But Jay on Rocket Labs, he's up about $1 million. Here's what the trade looks like really quick. Now, he did have stock. He had stock plus a call spread. This was a caller. So he was totally capped. He had stock plus he sold a covered call. So he's totally capped above 18, unfortunately, because the stock's trading at 21. But I mean, what are you going to do? Still did really, really well, right? Really, really well. So that's Rocket Labs killing it. And he could always adjust this trade. Watch, he could always cover, take the profit, and then roll it further up. And if it keeps going up, keep making money. That's the whole idea. Okay, so that's Rocket Labs, and the loaded dice Disney we've looked at, and the rest of it is all stuff we'll put on the option show. Okay, so like I say, no in the weed option stuff in the morning, but let's do this. Let's look at the single stock buffer report, and let's also look at the index funds. I love me some triple QI and QDTE and Q anything. You give me Q anything and I love it, especially Q something that pays you 12, 15, 20, 30%. Speaking of paying you 12, 15%, Cy Katara from Tap Alpha is going to be on today at 1:00. Okay. I had it scheduled for yesterday, but it was a miscommunication. We rescheduled for today. So be watching for that. That'll be live. And you guys can, if I run out of questions, I'll look to YouTube for questions. But I'm in a pretty talkative mood today, so I may not run out of questions. But still, feel free to be there. And I probably will run out of questions. I'm not going to talk Cy's ear off about options. I saved that stuff for Jay. All right, so let's see who's really standing out today. We got a lot of underperformance now. Snowy looks really good. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of standouts. I mean, other than the ULTY, which is the first thing we spoke about. Now, on the downside, we have to talk about Meta and Microsoft, or Fibby and whatever. That's not looking great. SMCY is down, but well within tolerance, catching a lot of buffer. We love to see that. ARK, the company OARK is down. The ETF OARK is down, but actually ARK is up. So ARK is beating the parent. So that's really good. XOMO is beating the parent as well. It's early, so that it doesn't mean a whole lot yet. I don't know why T-SPY's down 1.2%. I think it has a wide bid-ask spread, and no one's traded it yet this morning, and that's last night's indication or something. Because I just don't see that. We'll ask Cy about that. In the S&P complex, the S&P is basically dead. So JEPI is outperforming on the upside in the S&P complex. SVOL outperforming on the upside in the S&P complex. Great job. All right, in the NASDAQ complex, nothing's outperforming on the upside. Some are outperforming on the downside. I'm not even going to focus on that. Let's go over here to Russell. Of course, we got ULTY. We also have IWMY from Defiance looking really good, outperforming the parent. That is badass. And then, all right. So, and then but back to the charts, I should have also checked one other thing. We should always check the three indexes, VIX and VIVIX, which is volatility, and we should always check Bitcoin. And I forgot to show that to you guys this morning, but it is breaking out. That is a massive, massive, massive breakout. So, assuming it isn't a fake out, you know, Santa Claus rally may be starting early. Look at that. Would you take a look at that? And it's been telling us, like I always say, we got 2 closes in a row on top of the Bollinger Bands right here, and we haven't had a single one underneath the Bollinger Band since then. I mean, it's just telling you trend up, trend up. There's a trend up signal. There's a trend up signal. What's it doing? It's trending up. When it's trending up above the old all-time highs, that's a really crucial place because that's the place where fake outs occur, massive, massive fake outs and stuff. So anyway, we got to be careful here, but it's clear sailing ahead right now for Bitcoin. And that's what's important about Max's volatility metric. Even though it can't predict the future and it's trend following, yesterday when the SPY was pulling back, in the morning when I came on, the SPY was pulling back. It was right here. It was under the Bollinger Bands. Anyway, when the SPY, you know, it was actually a good time to be buying. And what the clue was, if you look in the shorter time frame, look in the 30. What I was talking about when the SPY was pulling back yesterday, I was talking about these bars, these candles right here, this fake out. All right. So this was, you know, we had 4 closes in a row in the same direction underneath the 30-minute Bollinger Band. The bears were trying to get a party started. Then the bulls rallied it back up to the midpoint, but the bulls still haven't got it on top of the Bollinger Band. So in this time frame, the bears are still in charge. However, if you look at volatility hasn't ticked up at all. So yesterday when the market was pulling back, we weren't that concerned about it because volatility wasn't ticking up. So anyway, we'll see. Right now, we're still having a fight between volatility and the market. And the market's just kind of grinding sideways. So we'll see. I'm not saying for sure this breakout in Bitcoin will hold, but, you know, it is for right now. All right. So now let's look over here at this one. This is the rest of the single stocks in case yours wasn't on the first one. They have too many to put on one page now. I have 2 pages going. Okay, AMZ's, you know, underperforming. JPMO's looking pretty good, catching about 80% of the upside. Coney outperforming on the downside, which really surprises me. With Bitcoin up, what the hell's going on? How come? So Coinbase and Bitcoin have decoupled. Didn't they used to trade pretty? I mean, Coinbase is down this morning a little bit. I don't know. All right. I'm not going to worry about that. I just want to check and make sure this chart's right. Is Coinbase really down 1.5%? Yeah, it is. Okay. All right. Well, the chart's right. Okay. It just seems that's where that's pulling back with Bitcoin breaking out to all-time highs. Maybe Coinbase is calling BS on the Bitcoin rally, or maybe, like I say, maybe it's decoupled to some degree. All right, well, Snowy's definitely the standout of the day. Sky looks really, really good. Well, but the standout of the day, I'm sorry, is AIYY. It looks really good. That is a great job. All right, I'm going to be back with some option-specific content where we're going to put on some trades for earnings after the bell today. Here's the earnings calendar. We have Cisco coming up after the close. Oh, Disney's before the open tomorrow. I thought it was after close 9. Okay, Disney, JD. There's Billy. You know, Jay's in Billy. So we may do some of our own stuff and kind of copy Jay or try to put on something better than he did in one of these. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if Jay today after the bell maybe adds a position in Applied Materials because this is a real liquid. Typically, I don't know, I haven't checked it lately, but it's typically somewhat liquid options. And, you know, it's a tech company. I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see a position in that one, maybe even OKLO. We'll see. And then Jay's already taken a position in Baba. And then so for next week, these earnings are just a gold mine for option traders. I mean, Jay loves this. I love this too. That's why I love this ULTY fund so much, because he just basically goes through and mines the earning stocks for extra volatility and mines the volatility out of it, harvests the volatility. That's the idea. Now, there's no guarantee the fund makes money. You also need cooperation from the underlines of the stocks. That's the way covered calls work. However, now that Jay does covered call spreads and he does callers, he's mitigated a lot of the bad stuff that used to happen, or some of the bad stuff that used to happen. So it's made this just a hell of an interesting fund. But anyway, we have NVIDIA earnings next week. Palo Alto Networks is one. NTAP, he'll take positions in all of these. You watch. Baidu. He's already got one in Zim. I made a lot of money in Zim once. I forget what it was, but it was some type of earnings play, and it was one of those things that has theoretically no possibility of loss. I was doing a straddle strangle swap. Straddle strangle swaps can lose money though. They look like they can't, but anyway, but I hit it big on that one. Zim and Lululemon are two of my biggest straddle strangle swaps ever. Multiple thousands of dollars in like, in 5 minutes. As soon as earnings were announced, that it gapped, and the next morning I made $2,500 or something. All right. Well, I'm going to let you guys go, but like I say, be looking for some option specific content. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about at this point is, I was a little bit worried about how the NASDAQ is. I'm hoping the NASDAQ's not going to try to, that was the other clue. The market wasn't going to sell off too hard yesterday. Even though the SPY was under the Bollinger Band, the NASDAQ barely went one or two periods under the Bollinger Band. So, you have to look at everything. But the SPY looked like the bears were trying to start a trend. Now, the Russell today looks like the bulls are trying to start joining the fight. So it's between the Russell and the SPY. Qs are in the middle, right? Anyway, we'll keep an eye on it. It's a battle that goes on every day of the week. Well, 5 days a week, all year long. All right, guys, I appreciate y'all for being here. Have a good day.